Hello friends, we're going to talk about tuning our string instruments today. Before we begin, I want to let you know that I'm thinking about all of our students and that hoping that you are doing well, that you are playing music with all of this time that you now have, hopefully doing a little exercising and staying healthy and happy. Strange times and good attitude goes a long way. So this is a violin, and I'm going to talk about tuning the string instruments. This is going to apply directly to a viola and to cellos as well, of course, knowing your mechanisms are a little bit bigger and different. First thing first, make sure that you are thinking about the string names, G, D, A, and E on your violin, G being the lowest one, up here, the thickest string, and all the way down to E on the violin. I am not going to tune it today the way that you see professional players and even advanced students play, using the bow, listening to the sound of the strings together. That is ultimately the best way to tune a string instrument. The purpose of today is to talk about tuning it for people who usually have their teacher tune it, not able to do that, and now you're stuck realizing you need to tune your own instrument. So this is sort of the safest, easiest way to be accurate. And the first thing that we need is an electronic tuner. Electronic tuners can be purchased. You can buy a physical tuner. Most people these days just use an app. You can put an app on your phone or tablet, and that's probably the easiest way. So I'm going to use an app on this iPad that you'll be able to see. And I'm not really going to tell you which one you should get because there's just so many out there. And of course, some are probably free and some are probably cost 99 cents and going up. So the most important thing before you start is to realize that tuning a string is probably where most people accidentally break a string. So you have to be careful. You break a string by tuning it too tight. So again, if you know what letter, what pitch you're aiming for, you're going for a G on this string. If you are starting at a G sharp because it's fallen out of tune, maybe the weather's wonky in your where you keep it going up and down, and the string has gotten high, or maybe you accidentally tuned it and you went too high. If you go up from a G sharp to go beyond that, you're probably going to break the string. You want to make sure that if you were tuning this string, for example, and it's a G sharp, that you go down to G, or if it were A or even higher, that you're really in a dangerous spot there. So hopefully most of the time you tune it, you're starting from below and you're going up. When in doubt, you can always tune it down and then go up to the pitch. You don't want to be higher coming down because you don't ever want to go higher than the pitch. Again, that's how you break a string. So I'm going to turn this tuner on. It will tune the sound of my voice, and that's why you'll see band directors or orchestra directors maybe using one that you clamp on that uses a vibration. But this will be tuning everything you hear, including the sound of my voice. So let's see. I'm going to start with my A. Now, even just plucking it without the bow, you can see that I'm a little sharp. I did that on purpose. I have to be very careful to not go any higher than this. The goal is to have the tuner be in the middle here. And again, different tuners may look different, but you almost can always see it going up to the pitch or down to the pitch, and there's usually a different color light in the middle like this. So here I am at A and I'm sharp. I'm going to use my fine tuners because I'm pretty close. And my fine tuners are ideal for when you're close and you need to just move a little bit. So I'm going to stop talking now and we'll see the pitch come down. I'm not going to pluck it and then tune it and then pluck it again and see how I did. I'm going to pluck it continuously and turn it continuously, watching the pitch come down. And if your violin's very out of tune, has several strings out of tune, you're probably going to want to tune it as close as you can, tune all the other strings, and then come back and double check it, because tuning other strings a lot can throw the other strings out of tune as well. So let's see, my A is pretty good now. How about my D? This would be this string, of course. On a viola, this is a G. This is my D string. and it's just a tiny bit sharp again. So I'm going to use my fine tuner. Here we go. Pretty close. My E, just a little bit sharp. Come down. Very good. And then this string. Okay, so it says B. Now, hopefully right now, I want you to think about what I should do if I have this sound. If I listen and I get the pitch and this is a D, so, sol, fa, mi, re, do. This should be a G. It's not. This is pretty low. So this B flat is so low, I'm not going to bother with my fine tuner here. I'm going to use my tuning peg. Tuning with the tuning peg is difficult, and it again is a little bit risky that you pop the string if you're not being careful. When you tune it, of course, when in doubt, if you're not sure which peg it is, just follow it up. Okay, the string goes to this peg. You can see where the string ends, so that's the peg that you turn. I'm going to pluck this one, and when you turn it, you also have to push the peg in a little bit. Sometimes pegs are stuck, and that's not the case. You don't really have to worry about that. But usually a good violin with tuning pegs that aren't old and stuck, you should be able to turn it. But it could pop out and the string could become very loose. And if that's the case, as you turn it this way, you're also kind of pushing in. The peg needs to be pushed into the hole here in order to keep it tight. So here's my G string, which is not a G, and I'm going to tune it. E, F, getting closer, F sharp, G. So again, sometimes when you let go, you hear it come back down, and that's because the peg has to be tuned in. You'll see, again, people tuning it here while they're playing. That's a pretty difficult thing to do for a beginner, so we're just going to kind of treat it like a guitar here and make sure that we push some pressure in as we tune it. But again, I was turning it and hitting it continuously, listening, not hitting it once, giving it a crank, and hitting it again and checking, because that crank could be way too much. You want to gradually go up and see it come up with it. So now I'm at the point where I can use my fine tuner. And get right there. Now let's just check the other strings. You can see that D is quite low because the whole tension of the instrument changed when I used my tuning peg to pull this string up that was very out of tune. One thing I do without even being aware of it sometimes is I'm dampening the other strings. So when I'm hitting this, I know it's the only one vibrating. If you don't do that, you run the risk of this, and then tuner's going to be hearing two pitches. And notice, I'm not talking. This microphone will pick up anything. So try to get to a quiet place if you can. One more note about the fine tuners. You could be a little bit low, and just a little bit, and think that this is a good time for the fine tuners. If you're tuning it up and it gets to the point where it can't go anymore, then you're going to have to use the tuning pegs. And what I normally do at this point, when I've got to the point where this is so tight that it can't go anymore, I'll loosen it, knowing that the instrument is going to be very out of tune now, because I'll loosen it and then start over with this. Hopefully you won't get to that point, and again, you'll be knocking the instrument way out of tune. But once your tuner is tuned to the point where it can't go any higher, then you're not going to be able to use that anymore if you're flat. So it's kind of a good idea to give it a little bit of a twist at least, so you have room in the fine tuner to go higher or lower. But then you're going to have to give a pretty good crank with the tuning pegs. Please feel free to contact me directly, inbox and Schoology, email, any way that I can help, I will be glad to help. But I hope that this video is a good starting point for you. Again, use this opportunity to play some music and to get outside if you can. And thinking of everyone, and good luck.